President Donald Trump said the U.S. would reimpose a blockade on Iranian ports. That's where we're starting the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Tuesday, July 14th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Just a few weeks ago, President Trump described a ceasefire with Iran as a great deal that could lead to broader peace across the Middle East. He also warned that the conflict could lead to economic catastrophe if it continued. Yesterday, though, Trump made a sharp pivot. Speaking to conservative radio talk show host Hugh Hewitt, he dismissed the Memorandum of Understanding that the U.S. and Iran had agreed.
It was built to test. It was a test. We didn't know. It didn't. Look, Memorandum of Understanding when you're dealing with sleazebags don't mean much. And they don't mean much when you're dealing with honorable people, too, because it's a memorandum of understanding. It doesn't mean much.
Those comments came a few hours after Trump announced on social media that the Navy would reimpose a blockade of Iranian ports and that he had notified Congress that he was resuming hostilities. Trump also said the U.S. would impose a 20% fee on all cargo transiting the Strait of Hormuz to pay for U.S. protection. That would be a major new tax on global energy flows and would drive up the cost of oil and gas. The U.S. has previously said that such fees would violate international law. An ICE officer fatally shot a man in Maine yesterday. That's our second story. Less than a week ago, Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico, was killed by an ICE officer in Houston. Yesterday, another man was killed by immigration agents. Authorities did not identify the man who was killed, but the Maine Immigrants' Rights Coalition said he was a 26-year-old Colombian national. The Office of Maine Attorney General Aaron Frey said initial reports indicated an ICE officer shot the man when he attempted to flee in his vehicle during an enforcement operation in the small coastal city of Biddeford. Frey's office said the officer had been placed on leave and that it was launching an investigation. Democrat Shelley Pingree represents the Maine district where the shooting occurred. She spoke to CBS News yesterday about the effect of ICE operations in her state.
We've had a much bigger ICE presence than most people understand, going on for quite some time. In my office, we process a lot of cases. People who are looking for an individual who is taken to detention, people who are afraid to leave their home because they've been sought after because of ICE, even if they're legally working here. Now people are going to be afraid to leave their homes because they might get shot.
ICE has ramped up enforcement across the country in recent weeks, aiming for 2,000 arrests per day. The 2 recent fatal shootings have further fueled public backlash against Trump's aggressive immigration enforcement campaign. Number 3. Lindsey Graham's sister was appointed to serve the rest of his Senate term. Darlene Graham Nordone was a political confidant of her older brother, the South Carolina senator who died suddenly over the weekend. Lindsey Graham helped raise her after their parents died. Yesterday, South Carolina's governor announced he had chosen Graham Nordone to serve out the rest of her brother's term, which ends in January. She spoke at a news conference.
I think this is what Lindsey would have wanted, and I plan to honor him in this way. Now, to Lindsey, I miss you more than I can even put into words. But I'm going to do this. I got it. Thank you.
Graham Nordone has never held elected office and has a sparse public record of her political views beyond supporting her brother. President Trump and South Carolina's other Republican Senator Tim Scott supported her selection to the seat. It is unclear whether she plans to run in a special primary next month to replace Graham on the ballot to serve a full 6-year term in the Senate. A judge denounced Trump's IRS case as an attempt to manipulate the courts. That's number 4. In January, Trump, his 2 eldest sons, and his family business filed a lawsuit against the IRS. It resulted in a proposal for a nearly $1.8 billion fund to pay out alleged victims of politicized prosecutions. That controversial proposal has since been abandoned. But yesterday, U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams denounced the lawsuit and the deal to resolve it in a blistering ruling. She called it an improper attempt to manipulate the court process, and suggested that Trump's attorneys and top Justice Department officials who signed off on the agreement could face professional sanctions. Number 5. Authorities are investigating Taco Bell and lettuce in a cyclosporiasis outbreak. This disease is caused by the parasite cyclospora, which has sickened thousands of people and hospitalized 80 in a multi-state outbreak. The parasite can cause days of diarrhea. It's hard to work out the source of the outbreak because it can take a while for people to get symptoms after they eat contaminated food. But now, authorities are investigating whether Taco Bell has played a role in the outbreak. That's according to 2 people familiar with the investigation. Still, authorities have not yet identified a specific produce grower or supplier responsible for the outbreak. Public health officials say there could be more than one culprit. In the meantime, though, keep following basic hygiene rules and be extra cautious with fresh produce. If you'd like a refresher on food safety and how to avoid cyclospora specifically, we have a guide in today's 7 newsletter. You can find a link to that in the show notes. Number 6. The planet's strongest heat dome will soon scorch the East Coast. Today, a sweltering heat dome will be located over the north-central U.S. On Sunday, it brought 115-degree heat to Montana, and yesterday it brought 100-degree heat to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Ontario, Canada also saw extreme heat, humidity, and gusty winds yesterday. Early this morning, over 100 million Americans are covered by heat alerts in anticipation of the heat dome. Temperatures are forecast to push 100 degrees from the Dakotas to New Hampshire before searing conditions reach the mid-Atlantic tomorrow. For every low-temperature record set this year, there have been around 18 high-temperature records. That pattern is consistent with what's expected on a warming planet. Number 7 is a good reminder to stop and smell the roses today. Training your sense of smell could be good for your brain. Losing your sense of smell is one of the earliest warning signs of conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. It can appear up to a decade before other symptoms. Smell loss is linked to reduced volume in different parts of the brain. But some research suggests that smell training can help boost your cognitive function. So, how do you pass the sniff test? One option is to use smell training kits to train your nose. But if you don't want to buy one, you can use essential oils to make one yourself at home. There's not really a set way to smell train, but studies have had people sniff different scents for 10 to 20 seconds at a time. Do that once or twice a day, and for the best results, be consistent. Happy smelling. All right, you're all caught up. If the stories I bring you here on the podcast pique your interest, for example, our tips on how to avoid the diarrhea parasite, make sure you sign up for the 7's newsletter. It has links to all the stories I talk about here on the podcast and a lot more news you can use. I'm Hannah Jewell. I'll meet you back here tomorrow.